So today we're gonna talk about the next era of inventory intelligence. But as we all know, the profit is made when you acquire the vehicle, not when you sell the vehicle, right, John Ellis? So I'm going to start off with a journey on how you acquire a vehicle with using AccuTrade, and then we'll transition into what we just unveiled yesterday, which is our next generation inventory management system, inventory intelligent platform. So the kind of the essence of the foundation of AccuTrade is appraising anywhere. So a lot of people say, is it a showroom tool? Is it a website widget? Is it a service drive acquisition tool? Is it a buy center? Is it, well, yeah, the answer to all that is yes, and it's all that and more. And you can acquire vehicles via showroom, online, service drive, sight unseen appraisals. We call them driveway appraisals. You can get an image right there of the what it looks like on the website. We also have QR codes with total attribution that will tell you also how many, once somebody scanned the vehicle, how many vehicles did you appraise, how many vehicles did you acquire, by salesperson, by manager, in complete detail. But basically anywhere. 24/7 automation. Probably, in addition to our app is the fastest, most accurate, and easiest to use appraisal tool in the industry, period. Appraise a car in less than 3 minutes. But the 24/7 automation on the website, in the values, that happens all the time. We're going to appraise and offer an automated value on more vehicles than anybody else in this whole convention center, anybody else on earth. And our appraisal values are going to be on electric vehicles, Mach-E's, all the vehicles that might be a little tough to sell right now, all instantaneous. And then we also use accurate forward-looking data-driven values. We're not just looking at like-mind market day supply or market day supply. We're looking at local days on market. Local days on market is how many cars are out there on the market, but it's also counting how many vehicles haven't retailed. So let's say you've got cars that have been moved around within a group or from one store to another and they haven't retailed yet. We're going to share that data with our dealers. We're also tracking the daily depreciation so that we can, what you'll see here in our inventory intelligence platform, that's the key on how we predict what's going to happen and show dealers how to handle that and shine a light on it. So scaling smart acquisitions. I think we can all agree, and it's not like it's the elephant in the room, that buying cars from auction is not very profitable right now. And there's not a lot of margin on the front end if you're just living off of auction purchases. And purchasing cars at the auction just to hopefully get a trade or finance on a used car when those numbers are like closer to 30% is not a good use of time when you could be acquiring vehicles from service drive. Mason Martindale at Germain Toyota hasn't bought a car at the auction since 2019. And they sell about 250 used cars a month. Very profitably and very efficiently. He's no longer relying on the auctions because he's got a direct from consumer strategy. So using AccuTrade, using the AccuTrade app, you can use it as part of your sales process. That store in particular has 53 people appraising vehicles, the whole sales staff, valets, service advisors. So they've completely enabled and they've enabled their people and they've quadrupled the amount of appraisals they do per month. So they're appraising over 1,000 vehicles a month using this strategy, which is why when you can triple or quadruple your appraisals a month, that's how you reduce your reliance on the auctions. On the service drive, the dealerships that we have that are doing a really good job of acquiring, and I'm talking 100 to 200 cars every month off the service drive, the ones that are doing that consistently with dedicated teams. I was just talking to a dealer yesterday, has a team of 14, and that's all they do. And they're acquiring, close to 200 cars a month off the service drive. Of cars that turn quick, high demand, very scarce, and you don't really have to worry about aging because those cars don't age out. They retail in the first, 30 days. Website, cars.com. So it's the same technology. It doesn't matter what the portal of entry is for the consumer. And then what makes our values different than everybody else in this whole place? Well, first of all, we put a greater emphasis on what didn't sell than what did sell. So we're putting a really strong emphasis on no sale data. So like for instance, right now, Ford Mach-E's are in the 80% range that are not selling. So if somebody runs it to the auction, 80% of them aren't buying. So what's going to happen next to those resale values in 2 weeks or 3 weeks? At some point, they have to come down. Real-time adjustments to OEM incentives. Does everybody know what happened recently with Cherokees? last week. $2,000 to $4,000 drop. So if you've got a lag measure appraisal tool and they lower the prices, and that's on a Monday, and then the auctions are running Thursday, Friday, let's say some of them run, some of them don't run, it's going to be weeks before your appraisal tool is caught up or average auction, average MMR is able to make these real-time adjustments. We're doing it within an hour. Ford Lightning dropped the price $10,000. All of our dealers immediately insulated from that risk. Elon Musk decides that he's going to do something crazy, lower the price 10 grand. AccuTrade dealers are immediately adjusted in real time. We're not waiting for any lag measure data. We're very specific on condition, vehicle history report related values, color and recon. On certain models, most models, a pearl white, whatever model versus a dark blue or a burgundy, it could be as much as a $1,500 swing, $1,000 swing. We're factoring that into our values. Retail supply and demand. On the Cars Commerce platform, we're marrying up the search demand index for all these used vehicles in addition to what your past sales history has been. So in most cases, what should I stock? What have I sold recently? Well, that's easy to do because you can obviously just look at your sales history. But it's better to look to see what are consumers searching for, and is your inventory meeting that need in the market? Exotic vehicles over $100,000, $200,000. Bad Carfax vehicles over $60,000. And how about electric vehicles? Has anybody ever toyed around with what a Ford Lightning's worth in the last week? Or a Tesla Model S on the day that Elon Musk changes the price? Any of those vehicles, Ford Mach-E's, there's dealers that have 200 new ones on the lot. We're happy to buy every used one they have. And we'll guarantee the number so that they don't have to assume the risk if they're not the best end user. And then we provide a condition report so that when the customer does come in from whatever appraisal source that they went through, they can do a side-by-side comparison with the consumer, total transparency. There's no, your trade's just not worth it. It's not worth what you thought, and here's the reason why. And then it just breaks it down like a multi-point inspection. So here's an example of a Ford Lightning, and you can see the lag measure data because the auction transactions are just not happening fast enough. So there's a lag, and you can see the lag to what it's worth. And we called this out on September 15th, and everybody said, well, that's crazy. Average MMR is this. And you're $6,000 behind. Well, I think we were just 6 weeks ahead. But we can see this kind of canary in the coal mine. Everybody knows what the market day supply is. But how many people are looking at the local days on market? That's how you predict the future. That's how you see around corners. That's what you see what's about to happen before it's happening, in addition to the no sale data. By focusing on what's not selling, you can predict the future and what's going to happen, which is how we do this. The Cars.com scarcity index is right there in the bottom right-hand corner. So now we're taking 28 million unique visitors a month and taking that data to figure out what are consumers looking for and are you stocking it based on that? Like the Carvana and the CarMaxes of the world do. Speaking of CarMax and Carvana, I also hear a lot of people that will say, well, I can't match that price or I can't put as much money in that trade as them because they can transfer inventory all over the country. And in some cases, that's true. But we're going to share that data with our dealers in the inventory intelligence platform, so at least that you know. So instead of just assuming, well, they're moving it, or there's some other best end user for it, or they got some secret place where these cars sell better, we're going to share the data to whether or not that car is better in West Texas or if it's better in Birmingham. And in doing so, if it's not a better market, then you have to sit there and take a look at how are they appraising this car differently, or what are they doing that I'm not doing. So now here's for the big reveal. This is the inventory intelligence platform. It's kind of like a crystal ball, or our crystal ball, as to what's going to happen. And it's kind of like a crash avoidance detection system so that you can avoid an accident before it happens on day 1 or day 21. So first of all, we're going to take, based on the way the car was appraised, we're going to show the dealer what's the yield spread or the return on investment, retail, wholesale versus our guaranteed offer. And we're going to give every single scenario because maybe wholesale is more. Maybe it's a rental car that Hertz is paying more for, whatever the reason is. We're going to share that with the dealers. And what we're based on, and for 100 years, or the 30 years I've been in automotive retail, everybody's always managed, I've always managed based on days in stock. Bucket 1, 0 to 15. Bucket 2, 16 to 31, there's 30. So what I'm advocating is, as we've been building this platform out, is that that's actually a fallacy, and it's not the way you should manage inventory. You should manage it based on risk. And here's a prime example of what I'm talking about. This column right here is days on market. That's how long those cars are in stock. The column to the right of that number is depreciation, daily and monthly depreciation. So you can see the car at the top, when you rank it based on depreciation and risk, is a 2021 Infiniti QX80. That vehicle depreciates at $1,598 a month. A lot of these EVs are $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Some of them are even more. So if you don't have that type of data as you're managing your inventory, you're at a distinct disadvantage, because you're going to start focusing on this 66-day-old vehicle at the bottom that depreciates $538 a month, and spend a bunch of time trying to worry about what's going on with that vehicle, or a vehicle that depreciates even less than that, instead of worrying about the two that are fresh in inventory that are in the first 30 days are going to depreciate $3,000. So we call it risk-based inventory management. And here's our new dashboard that's going to be live in 3 months. We're currently looking for 25 dealers to pilot this. I guess we're not looking for that many more, but looking for a few. And this is how it works. So at the top, you're going to see what we're pricing the vehicle for. You'll see the available margin for retail. In the middle, you'll see what the wholesale strategy is. Now, this is a snapshot of a car that's been in stock 8 days. So it's easy to see that, after 8 days, there's going to be some wholesale loss. It was a $4,000 profit on day one. But we're going to at least share all that information. But here's a couple key points that are different with this than anything else in the industry. That little line graph that's blue, green, orange, purple at the top, that's the days until the margin evaporates out of that vehicle in stock. So based on that, it's a 34-day, and you'll be out of your, completely out of profit. Most people don't look at it. I've never looked at it like that. I always said, well, I'm going to keep it 60 days. Hopefully, I'm going to get rid of it in 60 days. Currently, 34% of every car that's in stock on used car lots right now listed online is over 60 days old. 24% is over 90 days old today. So we're not all sticking to that. But at least this is going to tell you when you're out of profit. Because really at 34 days, 22 days, or 58 days, whenever it's out of margin, is when you should liquidate the vehicle, using data to support it. And we're also going to measure the variance of service or service reconditioning going in versus when the RO is closed coming out. How accurate is each appraiser? But what drives everything is projected days on market or days to sale. So if you got a car that's a 100 market day supply car, 100 days, 100 days on market, and you think you're going to sell it at 100% in 60 days, the math doesn't work. So what we're leading with, you can still price it as price to market, but price to market should be driven based on days on market. So if you think you can sell the car in 45 days, 50 days, but it forces you to make a commitment as to how long I'm going to keep this vehicle in stock, and then we're going to reverse engineer it from there. So if you have a car that's 45 days on market, like this one in the green band in the middle, and you say you're going to sell it in 25 days, we'll tell you how much to sell the vehicle for. And here's the biggest takeaway on this. Instead of a race to the bottom, it's the inverse, polar opposite of a race to the bottom. In most cases, a car that's under a 30-day supply, 30 days on market, our system tells you to price it up. Price it up to 108%, 112%. And that's how, when somebody says, well, how's CarMax paying all this money for vehicles? How can they put 100% cost of market in a car? Must be crazy. They must be moving it from this zip code to that zip code. It's not the case. It's just more data that they have that everybody else isn't privy to. And now AccuTrade dealers are going to have that access to that information. And also, how does the competitive set work in their market versus the adjacent market versus the Cars.com audience enhanced recommended market? So if somebody's looking, is this a 100-mile radius on the competitive set? No, my customers go out 500 miles. Let's just use 1,000 and throw a dart at a board and see how that works so I can justify my narrative as to what I want to price on my age car so I don't have to wholesale it when the dealer comes in and asks me. Rather than that, how about look at on that specific vehicle, what do consume in your specific zip code, how far do customers actually go out? And just use that, because that's the consumer search behavior. So that's another integration of how we're taking Cars Commerce, integrating the platform, taking the audience data, and enhancing it. And then we look at managing risk, like managing a stock portfolio. So our inventory portfolio, or IMS, inventory management system, is going to manage based on risk rather than age. And it's going to look at performing, trending, concern, at risk, and start attacking risk, because you can have risk on day 2, you can have risk on day 3, or day 73. But the sooner that you attack it, the faster that obviously you're going to get rid of the problem. So every single IMS system or every single software system I've used has all kinds of reports and dashboards and all sorts of things like that. This one has intelligence. So instead of just having a report, we're actually going to tell you what to do with that report. And we're not going to try to boil the ocean and give you 25 different things. There's going to be 4 things per area, per day, and based on math and data, trying to tell you what to focus on. So in this case, it tells the dealer there's 32 vehicles currently in the at-risk bucket. The available margin would increase from $14.69 to $20.63 by eliminating either transferring, wholesaling, or retailing these cars. And it also, more importantly, will eliminate $1,536 a day in depreciation, which nothing else will share that information with you. So not attacking these and waiting 10 more days to do something about these cars is going to cost the dealer how much? $1,536 times 10. Or 20 days, which happens in many cases. It's an exponential number, but it's also something that's not top of mind right in your face. But it also won't be in your face every single day unless it's an issue at your store, because it's not going to just bring up all these different things if it's not relevant to what's going on in your store that day in that market. Opportunity number 2, these 11 vehicles are generating over 7% VDPs. Multiple leads, 5 leads a day for 2 days in a row. You might want to consider raising the price on these vehicles. They're underpriced, they're causing too much activity. It's going to give you a false sense of security with your overall VDP production. So you might take your eye off the ball and think that you're okay overall at a 3% VDP percentage, when it's really these vehicles that are driving all the activity. Margin compression from in the first 10 days, inventory to sold. It's going to tell you where that's coming from. Only half the inventory is getting an OBD scan. Increasing that's going to be $212 in PVR. As everybody keeps on saying, there's margin compression. Margin compression happens in bite-sized increments. $212 there. Tread depth. Well, we want more PVR, but we're not measuring the tires. And on average, not measuring the tires is costing $309 a vehicle. Maybe that's a big deal, maybe it's not. I know that a lot of people, I don't know if I really feel like going through all the change management to get there. Either way, there's an opportunity of $522 a vehicle based on how the car was acquired. So even though people can say that, well, there's just a lot of margin compression, it's hard to make money on used cars right now. Well, that's how you make money on used cars during the acquisition, which ultimately flows through to the retail side of it. But this also, without taking 2 hours to go do a bunch of spreadsheets and pivot tables, will tell you in 2 seconds. And this one little thing alone is $480,000 a year at this store. And then it'll break down the 4th opportunity at this store was 68 vehicles that are less than 1% SRP VDP conversion. The hyperlink that clicks into that is going to show just those vehicles, so you can focus on just those, determine is it a photo issue, is it a pricing issue. It takes 56 VDPs to sell a vehicle on cars.com. These units are a merchandising opportunity because they're less than 10 VDPs per vehicle. We're also going to show low engagement vehicles, less than 10 VDPs in a 7-day period of time. So you can attack those differently. It's going to tell you, review the photo quality, merchandising text, features, equipment, options. So it's not that we're going to tell anybody how to run their dealership. We just want to remove a bunch of minutia and hours of trying to find this data, so it's just right there as soon as you log in. And as you're doing that, you're fixing these issues, the Cars Commerce platform is going to syndicate immediately. So you don't have, if a car is sold in your showroom today, Andrew, it's going to come off your Dealer Inspire website. It's going to come off of the Cars.com platform. and it's going to be updated in real time, not at 2 a.m. when the syndication feed updates. And to sum this all up, everybody always says, so what is AccuTrade? Talked about a lot over the last 30 minutes. So let's just recap it. Is it a dealership website widget? Does it provide guaranteed instant cash offers? Vehicle on more cars than anybody else on earth? Vehicle buying centers, service drive acquisition mining, driveway or sight unseen appraisals, inventory management system, cars.com instant offer leads? And the answer is yes. But the difference is we don't think that you need to have one of every single one of these items in your tech stack. We think this should just be one tool at one price, and it's AccuTrade. So instead of having a bunch of things in your tech stack clogging things up, data flows, just use us. If you have any questions, our whole team is here. Thank you.